Okay. All right, let's do this. Hi guys, I am Keisha Bissaram from Morning Brew and Tea, and I'm here to talk about a very personal story of mine. This is my personal struggles with eczema. And the reason why I'm choosing to talk about this on camera is because I've struggled with eczema for the past couple of years, and I've been trying to find other people who suffered as well, but I just feel like the information that's out there is not really many people that I've seen that have talked about their eczema story and holistically tried to heal themselves. And I think the only person that I came across on YouTube is this woman named NaturUlly, I think her name is. And God bless her, because I was following her and she was putting out a lot of information about her eczema story. But anyways, I just want to talk about my eczema story because I feel like there are a lot of people out there who are suffering, and there's just so much misinformation going around about how to heal yourself and where it comes from. And I was given the worst information about eczema and it didn't help me. And I had to go through this sort of journey of figuring out what it was that was tearing up my skin. So just to give you a little backstory, I've always had skin issues since I was a kid. I used to get like rashes on like my arms during like allergy season. So I guess it was just allergies that I had. I used to get like kind of rashes like around my body, but I guess it wasn't really anything that serious. Fast forward to later in life when my eczema just kind of blew up in my face. So before I get into my eczema story, I want to talk about how I'm affected by eczema. My eczema is all over my face. Right now you can't tell because I have a bit of makeup on. I kind of left a bit of free area over here without any makeup, so my face might be kind of red area around here. My eyes are kind of cracked, and I probably TMI, but my chest area is like all inflamed. My chest area over here is inflamed. Underneath my breasts are inflamed with patches. So like kind of cracked skin, red skin, very itchy. Actually I'll show you right now. It's a bit of discoloration here, so I don't know if you can see it, but there's like discoloration all around my arms that leak up into my wrist and on my palm. On my back of my hand. And it's really itchy, it's really dark, a lot of cracked skin. And I have it on my back and parts of my butt, and also behind my knee area. So yeah, that's my eczema all over my body. I'm very self-conscious doing this video, but I just feel like it might help a lot of people out there. And the reason why I want to talk about eczema is because I feel like people don't understand what it's like to have eczema. It's not about the way it looks on your skin, it's about the way it feels. It's a horrible feeling to have, and I'll tell you why. So back in 2016, I was living in New York City. I was living in Harlem. I had a full-time job. I was taking acting classes, and I was starting to produce a web series called Conversations in Apartment 3A. I was very insecure and I was overworked. And my eczema started to patch up here and there around my skin, but I was ignoring it. And at the same time, I was going through a lot of deep personal issues. I went to Spain to get my yoga teacher training certificate. And even then I noticed my eczema was coming up, but I was ignoring it so much. At first, I was in complete denial. I was like, oh, I'm just getting older, so my skin is changing, right? Which is true, it happens, it's not a big deal. But I didn't realize there was a deeper issue. So going into 2017, I did not realize how much stress I was putting onto my body at all. I'm telling you, I was in pure denial of how much stress I was putting into my body. Like the lack of sleep I was getting, the amount of things that I put on my plate. I was developing rashes on my neck and on my arms, and also like parts of my chest area, but it was coming and going, so I was kind of ignoring it. You know, I was continuing my life, and like I would go out and I would drink alcohol, and I remember distinctly going to my friend's birthday party, and we drank wine, and underneath the dinner table I was scratching my arms so much, and I was like, is it the alcohol that I'm allergic to? No, that's crazy. I don't think it is, but I was just, again, in denial. So in 2017, it was kind of like the denial stage completely. Like it was fully there, but I was just ignoring it so much. In 2018, that's when the flare-up happened. That's when it started happening, and it was real bad. I was producing and shooting my web series, Conversations Apartment 3A, and at the same time, I was in a 2-year program at an acting studio called the Esper Studio in Manhattan. And I was working part-time at a yoga studio, and I was working part-time at a jewelry company. So I was doing a lot. At this point, my eczema was so bad, but I was so silent about it. I did not talk to anyone about it. And I think the worst of it was when I was working on Conversations. I was on set and had to deal with so many people, and I had rashes all over my skin from the eczema, and it became so bad that it turned to vitiligo, which meaning that parts of like my lip area became white, and like the back of my neck was also white. But again, I was ignoring it. And the worst part of it was being at the Esper Studio and being a producer and actress and writer on a web series. I had to be in front of camera and perform. And as an actress, you want to, you know, express and be free with your body. And I couldn't because, again, for those of you who have eczema, it holds you back. Your skin is tight and cracked, and it's painful, and there's stinging everywhere. Like on your skin, like it stings and it's itchy and it's uncomfortable and it burns sometimes. And sometimes when you twist your neck, it's like you're pulling on your skin. And even there are times when I was trying to smile and I couldn't laugh because I was pulling on my skin all over my face. I had cracks under my eyes and on my eyelids, and it was just a painful experience. And I would walk onto set just pretending like everything was okay. I would try to cover it up with makeup, and you can tell with some of the episodes my skin is so bad. It shows through the lens, like you could definitely see it on camera, but I was trying to cover it up so badly. I was trying to just stay quiet about it, stay silent about the pain that I had to go through. And even going into the Esper Studio was painful because we had to perform scenes in class, and I would show up in absolute pain, and I would have to like hold it together in order to perform a scene. And it was really difficult because I just wanted to like explore and develop my acting craft, and I felt like I couldn't. And that was the worst of it because producing the web series added a lot of stress onto my body. And on top of that, going to acting classes also put a lot of stress onto my body, and it opened up a lot of wounds, not physical eczema wounds, I mean like emotional wounds. You know, I was a very insecure person, so like I was having a lot of battles going on in my head, and on top of that, the itchiness and the scratchiness, it made me feel really ugly and undesirable and gross. Like I don't know, for those of you who do have eczema, you feel kind of gross. Like I felt so gross. I actually took a few photos of my eczema, but not too much, because there are times where I didn't even want to look at myself in the mirror. I was so disgusted at what I was looking at. What was awful about having the eczema was not about what was happening on the outside, it was what was happening on the inside. The inside of my body started to change. I felt like I was shutting down, and I couldn't tell if it was because the eczema was making me uncomfortable or because I was physically sick. I couldn't tell. And my body felt like it was shutting down, and I felt like I was like a building with all these lights, and all the lights were turning off one by one. And during this time, I internalized everything. It's kind of stupid now that I think about it, but I really did internalize everything. I didn't really tell anybody. I didn't tell my classmates or my teacher at the Esper Studio. I didn't tell any of my teammates at on Conversations. I didn't tell anybody because I thought, at the time I had thought, this is my problem, so I have to deal with it. And I have to take care of people around me before taking care of myself, which is also a problem to my eczema that I'll touch upon later. Then in 2019, last year, it got worse. I mean, I was bedridden. It got so bad. Aside from my skin problems, the inside of my body, it felt like it was shutting down. There were times in my diary that I had written, "Am I dying?" And I felt like there was something physically wrong with me at this point. It got so bad that I had to turn down jobs. At this point, I was completely done with my part-time gigs with the jewelry company and the yoga studio, and I was doing catering, and I had to turn down a lot of catering jobs because I physically couldn't make it. I couldn't stand, I couldn't walk. I didn't show up to a few of my classes. I started skipping classes at the Esper studio. And then I think what really hit the nail on the head was I couldn't go to my cousin's bachelorette party in Las Vegas for a weekend because my skin was so bad that I couldn't bear the idea of getting on a plane and having the dryness of a plane drying my whole body out. It's not even about your skin being dry. It's about like there's so many flakes coming off my skin. There's flakes coming off my eyebrows, and it was so uncomfortable. Like it just felt really awful. And that's when I realized, wow, this thing is taking over my life. This thing is taking over my life. There's something so wrong with that. Now, before you comment, well, you know, like, why didn't you like change your diet or something? First of all, I did. I went gluten-free, dairy-free, alcohol-free, vegan. I did it all. Nothing. Why didn't you go to the doctor? I did go to the doctor. Waste of time. And I'll tell you why. So I went to the doctor and I got an allergy test, which kind of helped, but I had minor allergies. It was so minor. Like, I think the most of it was that I was allergic to cats, which I already knew, and I don't own cats, so it's whatever. And then my doctor wasn't very helpful. First, he wanted to give me prednisone, which I don't know if you know what prednisone is, but it's a steroid. And before I even get to how I took this steroid, first of all, I hate taking pills. I know most Americans are huge pill poppers, right? They get a headache, pill. They get their toe stubbed, pill. I don't know, they get like a paper cut Tylenol, Aleve, everything, right? They just put it into their bodies. I am not that person. I do not like taking medication unless I really need it. I'm all about holistic living, holistic approach, healing yourself, yada, yada, yada. I prefer that over just popping and putting stuff into my body. Although now that I say that, I realize that at the time I wasn't living holistically. Even though I thought that I was taking care of myself. At the time I thought that I was living a good lifestyle. I was eating really healthfully. I was getting sleep. I was surrounded by loved ones. But again, a lot of stress was still instilled into my body, but I'll get to that in a second. Even though I was healthy in those ways, I was ignoring my health in other ways, and I did not want to take the prednisone. And I remember I was sitting on the couch at my parents' house and my boyfriend was there, and he was so lovingly trying to support me and convince me to take the prednisone when I was fighting with him. I do not want to take this prednisone. I didn't want to take it. I caved and I took one prednisone and I just broke down crying because I knew my body was telling me that's not what I needed. Like, my body was telling me, Keisha, you do not need this prednisone. And I think when I took that prednisone, I just caved into somebody else's want and not my own, and I cried. But it was a band-aid to my solution. And I have noticed that when I looked on YouTube for people who have suffered eczema, they have talked about, some people have talked about taking steroids, and honestly, I don't know why anybody would advocate for taking steroids. I think it's quite silly. I only found like 2 or 3 people who talked about it, and I just thought that's the stupidest thing. But I guess depending on how bad it is, how bad your eczema is, I can't speak for everyone else. That's just my opinion. So then, after that, my doctor told me that I would have to take prednisone for a very long time, probably for the rest of my life. He also told me that my eczema would never go away. This is just instilled in my body, and that's just the way it is. And I thought, wow, that's complete crap. I knew that if I had eczema that I would have for the rest of my life, but not in this way. This was so bad that I couldn't get out of bed. I was bedridden, and that's not normal. How am I supposed to live with that for the rest of my life? That's kind of bizarre. So I didn't believe him. So a few things happened after that. I said, screw this guy. I'm gonna go on my own journey and figure this out on my own. Now, before I say this, my next journey to healing my eczema may not be for everyone. I am not a doctor. I am not a health professional. I am not a professional in anything when it comes to holistic living. You don't have to take my steps. I'm just trying to share my story, but please don't take this as your antidote. Like, it's probably not going to work for you, but it worked for me, but it may not work for everyone else. I'm just sharing my story. First, my beautiful wonderful cousin Veena suggested 2 holistic doctors for me to visit. And I chose one of them because he was affordable and he was accessible by car in Brooklyn. The place that I went to was called Neighborhood Natural Medicine, and the doctor was Joseph Giacona. Wow, I just realized I can't say his last name. Giacona, I think. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I can't say your name right. That's terrible of me, but I'll put his name in. Unlike a normal doctor who tries to pump pills into you and tries to get you back to pump more pills into you, this guy tries to figure out what your problem is, finds a solution, and you're on your way, and that's it. I went to this doctor, and after reviewing my body, I'm gonna link his information below because his method is pretty complex. He deals with Eastern medicine, and I'm not gonna get into what he does here in this episode. Maybe I'll do another episode, it's just too long. Anyways, after reviewing my body, he did see that my issue was eczema. The root cause of my eczema was stress. And he said that after years of putting so much stress into my body, it attacked my gut and it also attacked my respiratory system and my blood circulation. It was completely shot. And the way that my body was sending out signals was through eczema. I don't know what it was, but being at the doctor's office and hearing that, I just felt my body just cave in. And I think because it was one of those things where I knew that I was stressed out, but I was in denial because I thought living a busy lifestyle and an active lifestyle was the way to live. And I thought because I was eating healthfully, because I was sleeping well, and because I was spending time with friends and family, that this was stress-free. You know, I was doing conversations and isn't producing and acting and writing what I love to do, isn't going to the escort studio acting what I love to do, but I think I was pumping too much into my body that I was overloaded. And on top of that, I was taking care of everyone else's needs and putting their needs before my own. Even with the web series, everyone's needs became more important than my own. You know, at the acting studio, I always kind of focused on, is my acting partner okay before am I okay? You know, my friends and family, I made sure that they were okay. Things like that, I was just putting everyone else's needs before my own, and it just added a lot of stress into my body. And I knew there was more to it too, because he didn't really get too much into what that had meant. Whatever personal issues I had going on, obviously it's very separate than what he did. So he said to me that I can continue healing my body on my own. However, he would help me reboot my system, if you will. That way I can get a fresher start, a faster start. And he gave me some natural supplements, which, by the way, I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's some natural herbs, you know, like herbal medicine that he gave me. The reason why I won't tell you what he gave me is because I don't want people going out there looking for this thing and consuming it, okay? I'm not Trump where I'm going to tell you, consume this because you should. No, although that's a very extreme case. I don't know why I use that, but I'm not, because I don't want you to take it the wrong way, or whatever worked for me may not work for you, so I don't want to suggest anything. He gave me acupuncture for 15 minutes. By the way, I did end up eating a mostly vegan diet to help accelerate this process, and it did help. Next, my beautiful friend, Denise, who is a yoga instructor, a Reiki teacher, a photographer, a tarot card reader, everything. I will link her below. She's incredible. I wanted to do a Reiki session with her because I wanted to know more about my eczema. I was like, I need to know what this is because this is more than just a skin issue, right? During my Reiki session with her, there's a lot of details that came up. I'm gonna skip over it because it had nothing to do with my eczema, but she had found the root cause of my eczema and it really hit me hard. So she had told me that the root cause of my eczema is that I don't believe that I'm beautiful. And this belief system derived from my family. And this hit me so hard. It's kind of hard for me to talk about it right now because I feel like I'm so distracted about this thought that I don't know what to say next. This hit me so hard, like it hit me like a ton of bricks. And at the time I couldn't cry because when it hit me so hard, I feel like I was just slapped so hard in the face because some part of me knew that. I never talked about this. I never talked about it at all, but some part of me knew this and it was true. You know, we kind of went deeper into it and I had realized that I've always struggled with my dad's side of the family because my dad's side of the family made it known that I wasn't beautiful. I've always known that since I was a kid, and it wasn't a thing that I questioned. It was more like if I walked into a room, I knew that I wasn't the beautiful girl. I wasn't part of the beautiful girls. Like my other cousins were beautiful, my aunts were beautiful, but I fell short of that, so I wasn't. And again, it wasn't like oh, I don't feel like comfortable. It was more like, I just know that was like my label. But this belief system was actually quite toxic, and it just leaked into all these areas of my life. And that's what made me so insecure for the past couple of years of my life, my entire life, really. You know, when I performed as an actress, when I was doing my web series, when I was at this Esper studio, like my insecurity was leaking through everything. And that insecurity came from this thing, this root issue. Because I didn't believe that I was beautiful, like this whole stress just kind of just poured into like every area of my life, and of course it just came through my skin. And that's kind of a hard thing to think about. I mean, I could go deeper into it, but again, probably for another video. I don't think I could talk about that here because it's just a lot. So after all of this, after going to the holistic doctor and after going to the Reiki session, my eczema started to clear up on its own. And that was the craziest part, was not even just my eczema healing on my own, but my insides. Like I felt alive again. I felt alive. Like I didn't feel like I was dying anymore. I felt so alive. And I felt like I had energy, and I felt like I could do things, and I can like jump and scream. I remember the last month or two of my acting program, I was able to move my body around and smile and like contort my face and do all these different things. And I was like, I am free. Like I am so free. And I just felt so good. And honestly, my eczema did not go away 100%. I still have patches here and there, itchiness, but I would rather have a little bit of eczema than have my entire body blotched and covered from head to toe and feeling like I was dying inside. I will take that over anything. So in 2020, my eczema 80% gone. I had just recently moved to California. So from New York to California. After moving, COVID-19 started ruling the world. So long story short, moving to California, I ended up having a little bit of like relocation depression. And on top of that, COVID-19 happened. And, you know, that kind of didn't help with what I was feeling about relocating to California. I was really depressed. I am not feeling great about it still. I mean, we're still in it as I'm taping this. And it did cause a lot of stress. And guess what? My eczema came back. It just came in full force. It just came all the way back. And oh my God, I got really scared, and I was just like, wait, but I know what the root cause issue is. I know what's going on. I'm not stressed anymore. I'm not surrounded by people. I'm not doing the web series anymore. I'm not in class anymore. Like, why is this happening all over again? And I started to freak out. And honestly, I caved. I was like, oh my God, no, it's not an inner issue. It has to be an outer issue. So I lied to my boyfriend, and my boyfriend and I were like, oh, maybe it's the dust in the apartment. Let's clean the apartment. And we cleaned the apartment thoroughly, which the dust did help with my eczema, but it wasn't the main cause. And my boyfriend noticed that my hair was falling out a lot more than it normally did. And he said to me, you're stressed. And then I was in denial, and then I got angry, and then I got really sad because I thought, why is this happening to me? Like, I'm a good person. I'm healing. I'm eating healthfully. I'm doing all these things right. Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing the work, and I'm doing this. My goal here is to come to Los Angeles and be an actress, and I can't be an actress if my face is covered in cracks and flaky skin, and I can't move my face because my upper lip is stinging and I feel pain and itchiness, you know? So I was being a hard-headed brat. I was being such a brat about it. I thought, wow, I'm so stupid. How could I possibly think that after all the stress that I had built into my body over the past couple of years, how could I believe that it would just go away within a month or two? That's the stupidest thought. For me to think that it was just gone and that was it. It was so silly, especially that I made a life change at 30 years old and the coronavirus hit and I'm away from my family. Of course I'm gonna deal with stress. So right after healing, my stress kind of came back again. So like my eczema is still kind of there. I realized that listening to your body is so important because I was still trying to actively work. And that was my problem, is even though I'm stressed, but I think I'm so used to stress. Like I'm almost like addicted to stress. I'm addicted to feeling overworked and in pain. And what happens is that that turns into my body and it causes so many problems in my body, and the eczema just flares up all over again. And I realized that my body was screaming at me like, you need to stop, but you need to rest. You need to rest your body. I think this is the hard thing that I've realized with my eczema, even though I have it right now and it's kind of hurting me right now. But the difference with the eczema coming back now is that my body was feeling a little bit sick, but right now I feel okay. I'm feeling a little bit more energized. I realized how much of a testament it is for me to love myself and to love my body. And that mantra is thrown around everywhere on social media, on YouTube, and people's like walls and things like that, and songs and everything, which is great. It's a great mantra to have, but it's a hard thing to do. It's a very difficult thing to do. And when you don't love yourself, you cause a lot of issues in your body, in your mental health, in your emotional health, and it's going to affect something. Like, you're gonna get some sort of sickness out of it. And it's true. I mean, once I started to rest, give my body proper rest and not feel guilty for not doing anything and just laying down and resting, my eczema started to go down a little bit. The itchiness started to go down a little bit. My skin's still red and raw and a little itchy and cracked, but it started to calm down. And I thought, like, my body's speaking to me. What I'm trying to say to you is that take a good look at your life. If you have an issue with your body, a flare-up or eczema, obviously look at your diet. If you are allergic to like milk or something, maybe you should stop eating milk. I don't know. In all seriousness, you know, eczema is so uncomfortable. For those who don't know, eczema is so uncomfortable. Again, it's not the way that it looks on your body, it's the way it feels. The feeling is so disgustingly uncomfortable. For those of you who are suffering eczema, take a good look at your life and recognize that you are stressing out, because I think in Western society, we believe that we're not stressing out, we're just busy. That's crap. You know, you probably are stressing out. You're probably not eating healthfully. You're probably not sleeping well. You're probably not taking care of yourself. And self-care and self-love are two different things. You can go for a spa one day with a glass of champagne and come home and, you know, give yourself a nice dinner. That's nice, that's great. Self-care is nice, but truly loving yourself is a completely different thing. I think it forces you to really look inside of yourself and look inside of your body and look inside of your mental space and really understand what's going on there. My battle with my insecurity is still alive, and it's not gonna go away in a month or two. I don't know, that's just my story. I don't know where to go from here because my eczema story is not done. I am gonna have it for the rest of my life, but I think the flare-ups are a reminder of like what's happening in my life. And especially during quarantine time of COVID, I'm sure it's speaking up volumes right now. So I don't know, if you guys have a story you want to share with me about your eczema, I would love to hear it, because I think it's a very interesting community, and I think it is something that people do need to come together and talk about. And I think that there's a lot of horrible guidance from doctors out there that, oh my God, not that I want to say anything bad about doctors right now. I just mean doctors about eczema. Oh, that was a terrible segue, but you know what I mean. I just think that it is a conversation that needs to be had and people do need to talk about it. And I do believe it does go deeper than just your skin. I do believe that there's more to it than what's happening on the surface of your body. Yeah, that's just one I wanted to share. And thank you so much for listening. This is a very no frills kind of video. I just wanted to talk with you guys and share this. So thank you for listening. Okay, bye.